Perez Hilton here, and one of the things that I am most looking forward to in 2025 is seeing what Blake Lively will say under oath at trial. Because not only has Justin Baldoni filed a lawsuit against the New York Times, but he will most certainly also file a lawsuit against Blake Lively and potentially others. Unless she decides to settle out of court, if he's even willing to settle, because his reputation has taken a serious hit because of her alleged wrongdoings, which we have receipts for now, thanks to his just filed lawsuit. I remember vividly watching an interview that went viral where Blake Lively was promoting their movie, which he directed, starred in, and produced, It Ends With Us. And in that interview, Blake Lively said that she played the role of intimacy coordinator, making us believe that there was no intimacy coordinator. And she literally said it shouldn't be that way, where she had to be the intimacy coordinator. Well, turns out she was lying. As I've said repeatedly, I think Justin Baldoni sued the New York Times just as a way for discovery, to get information and ammunition for his potential lawsuit against her, or just to get all of that and leak it out into the world. In discovery, he would get all of her communications with everyone on her team, just like she got that from his team, thanks to his former PR agency. A lot of backstory here. In the lawsuit against the New York Times, Justin Baldoni states that in fact there was an intimacy coordinator on the movie, and there was an intimacy coordinator before the movie started. And Justin Baldoni reached out to Blake Lively before filming began and told her, "Just hired intimacy coordinator who I love. Will set you up to meet FaceTime with her next week for intro." Blake Lively responded saying, "I feel good. I can meet her when we start. Thank you, though." Okay. She was in no need or rush to meet with the intimacy coordinator. And Baldoni's lawsuit against the Times alleges that Blake Lively and her team purposefully misled the public to make him look bad. The lawsuit reads, also misleading, the article draws on Lively's assertion that Baldoni improvised unwanted kissing and discussed his intimate life, the New York Times article. However, both the Times and Lively intentionally excluded that Lively refused to meet with the intimacy coordinator to plan out the film's sex scenes. Baldoni, in turn, was forced to meet with the intimacy coordinator alone and relay any suggestions to Lively separately. What? I mean, I guess some actors don't want to work with an intimacy coordinator, but she wasn't against it. She just didn't participate. So confusing. Like I said, I'm really excited to hear what she has to say under testimony. Sworn. Having to be honest in a court of law. And Justin Baldoni is sharing with us how things really worked against his wishes, but to make her happy. The lawsuit says, notwithstanding Baldoni's reluctance, he and Lively, after he by himself met with the intimacy coordinator, would later sketch out the scenes together, absent the intimacy coordinator. As part of the creative discussions, Baldoni and Lively sought to personalize and develop their characters, and in doing so, engaged in conversation about their individual experiences. The Times taking Lively's CRD complaint as true characterizes this discussion as an inappropriate attempt by Baldoni to talk about his sex life. It was not. Helpful info. More still, Baldoni consistently acted at the direction of the intimacy coordinator. These baseless accusations do not constitute sexual harassment. In fact, if you remember, in her lawsuit, she had all of these lists of demands, and one of them that was stated for her returning to production after the writer's strike was 3. No more discussions to Blake Lively and her employees about personal experiences with sex, including as it relates to spouses or others. But Justin Baldoni says that these communications were just trying to relay ideas from the intimacy coordinator that she refused to meet with. He also adds that her demand implied wrongdoing on his part, but there wasn't, because there already was an intimacy coordinator. Quote, for example, Lively demanded that an intimacy coordinator be present at all times when Lively was on set. In fact, an intimacy coordinator had already been engaged during the first half of production. So Wayfarer, his production company, took no issue with this request. Baldoni also included in his lawsuit a text message that he sent to a female producer on the movie where he wrote and included a screen grab of her saying that she could wait until production starts to meet with the intimacy coordinator. He wrote to the female producer, just FYI, just wanted to tell you about this. Seems she doesn't want to meet intimacy coordinator until we start, which may mess up the workflow, but I can still meet with her, of course. And, as I mentioned, once they did start production, she refused to meet with the intimacy coordinator. Baldoni's lawsuit says, contrary to Lively's assertion, it was she who refused to meet with the intimacy coordinator to plan out our scenes, putting Baldoni in the awkward position of meeting with the intimacy coordinator alone and later relaying scene suggestions to Lively in the intimacy coordinator's absence, not only defeating the purpose, but resulting in accusations by the Times that before shooting began, Baldoni wanted to add sex scenes that Lively considered gratuitous. In fact, these scenes were proposed by the intimacy coordinator, the one that she didn't want to meet. This is well documented in handwritten notes Baldoni took during meetings with the intimacy coordinator. Baldoni's dated handwritten notes from his meetings with the intimacy coordinator, which again Lively declined attending, were read to Lively at her penthouse, where she insisted she and Baldoni meet to write these scenes together. Ooh, not only that, he says that she was the first to speak about her personal sexual experiences. The lawsuit says, in response to a proposal from the intimacy coordinator that Ryle not climax after he satisfied Lily, Lively remarked, I'd be mortified if that happened to me, which Baldoni, following Lively's lead in what seemed like an attempt to connect and develop their characters, remarked that those have been some of the most beautiful moments with my wife and I. Okay? Seems like a lot of distortion of truth. And the lawsuit even brings up the fact that I mentioned earlier, that Blake Lively talked about the importance of an intimacy coordinator. It was so important that she didn't want to work with one, according to the receipts he's provided. Wow. Oh boy. Thoughts on this all? Let me know in the comment section.